It actually worked better than I thought it was going to be. But what is up, everybody? It's been a little, not necessarily a hot minute for us because we was literally together yesterday, but it has been a little hot minute since we did anything with referencing to like a solo kind of thing that wasn't women's wrestling talk. And so it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm happy about that. But if you didn't know, I am Katrina from Impact We Trust, creator, like all these things, and also part of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I am joined by my girlie, my friend, Sunshine over here, Shay Sawyer. How are you on this Friday?
I'm good. It was a long day of work, but now I'm, decompressing and doing what I love to do, just talk about wrestling. So it's good. How are you?
I am good. I can't complain. It's been pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie, pretty solid. But yeah, okay. So we are talking about Mr. Vince McMahon. Everybody knows it. Well, I don't want to say everybody knows, but people know that when we are think of wrestling, when you think of WWE, we think about big battles, Vince McMahon. And if you aren't aware, he did step down from WWE earlier this year, which did surprise me. Uh, surprised me, but because I thought, I mean, listen, can I call you? I don't know if I should say it. You right, sis. Right, he was very, very toxic. Um, but yes, if you know Mr. McMahon, not only for what he's done behind the scenes, but he was also the extra over the top boss on World Wrestling Entertainment. And so this documentary, I guess, focuses. I mean, I feel like this is pretty tame. I thought they were gonna really like dive. I'm gonna be honest. I thought they were going to really deep dive into this documentary, but they didn't. They told some things, but I'm like, oh yeah, I was playing it nice. Oh, this is great. Yes, I mean, listen, he did used to do the most for no reason. Did the absolute most with the walk. Like I always was joke like, what if somebody like tripped him on the way down? Because that's what I would do personally. I would have gotten all types of trouble because I'm like, I'm not waiting for you to do this. I'm not waiting for this. And this is why I will be a heel. But so it's supposed to be the 9 lives of Vince McMahon, and we know that Vince McMahon has been allegedly have done many things allegedly, but also there's things that has been proven that he has done or he's interacted in ways or kind of helped people out in situations he probably shouldn't have helped people out. And so this is called the 9 lives of Vince McMahon, and I guess that's a breakdown into that. So before we break down the parts of the documentary, what were your initial thoughts about it as a whole?
I thought it was. I always find those things intriguing. Do I say it's entertaining all the time? Once you see it put together and kind of see it just kind of slammed in, it depends. Because remember, we had hit and misses with certain episodes from Dark Side of the Ring. So it really just depends. But I was intrigued upon first, hearing about it. And yeah, I mean, it was a nice little watch. I will say that for me personally.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of annoyed when they talk about the plane hell. But there was a whole like episode on Dark Side of the Ring about that. So like, why do we need to rehash? You know, why are we rehashing what we kind of about that situation? And so I was kind of annoyed. But I guess we can start about that. So we talk. I guess it's going to be a little bit out of order just because I mentioned that it is. Oops. I don't know which one was clicking, but okay, my bad. It is on Vice. Vice. Uh, if you have like, I guess it's on most cable. I'm going to assume it's on. I mean, I have a channel. I have Fios, so it's on most cable packages. And if you
Yeah.
have the things, then you can catch it online. Actually, if you go to the website and just sign into your cable, cable provider, it actually will allow you to watch it online as well. And that's kind of how I did it because I definitely did miss the first when it played the first time. And I was like, let me just go here and watch it. It'll be a lot easier for me to actually watch it and pay attention. Uh, so yeah, it is on there if you want if you haven't watched it yet. But okay, Mr. McMahon. I mean, I guess we can get into that.
Oh, what?
Okay. That's random. So let's, I guess, mention, I guess, talk about the plane ride from hell, which we already know there was a lot of shenanigans happening on that plane ride from hell, specifically with Mr. Ric Flair, uh, who clearly was doing a whole bunch of nonsense on that.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about that? I guess.
Well, kind of like what you said is like we already discussed this. What it came to me is like they were just grabbing stuff that they had from previous projects that they did and just throwing it in there. It felt like a quick cash grab to be like, let's be the first to do some, type of documentary on, Vince since everything happened, where they should have took their time to really get all of everything they needed so that it didn't feel like they were just throwing together stuff that everyone was already privy to. Half of the stuff that they spoke about was stuff we were all privy to, so it was just really no point. But I mean, that plane ride was a hot ass mess, and anyone who tries to excuse it or make excuses for anything that went on in that plane, yeah, nasty.
I remember when I first came out. I was like, now stop. Like, I get that you like your wrestling, and I truly get that, but let's not act like he wasn't doing like it was a lot of the stuff.
As she was saying, shenanigans, inappropriate touching, things that should not be going on to people who are not consenting to it, if you catch my drift. And random wrestling, because why are you wrestling on a plane? Sit down. This is not the place.
Oh my god, that is true. I remember I was like, why are we wrestling? Like, so random. I get that you guys are wrestlers. And like, I am not a wrestler. I am not a wrestler. I work in wrestling, but I am not a wrestler. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like I understand. But why are we wrestling on airplanes? I feel like of all the things you could do in an airplane, and a good airplane, it's not even like, coach, like we will get necessarily, where we may not be getting the best of the best on the airplane. You took a nap, ate some food, had a drink, but you guys, they just do all types of weirdness. And yes, it was inappropriate things with just the flight attendants. It was a whole bunch of shenanigans. I think that somebody almost died on a plane, and then because wasn't there a fight on there as well? There's a whole bunch of like nonsense on that plane.
And don't forget, someone lost their hair as well. Don't forget the hair.
Yeah, it was a lot of shenanigans happening on the plane, and so I don't know how Mr. Man's supposed to know this was going on, because I'm like, I would know somebody's wrestling on the plane. Okay, I knew like, and I feel like I would know somebody's doing like, and I would have to be like, what the f are you doing? What are you doing? Why are we doing this right now? I want to go home personally. And so yeah, that was pretty much my version of what happened on the plane. That was a PJ version, because yeah, it was insane. It was some insanity on that. So I guess we can go to the beginning where they kind of explained him kind of getting into WWE, and I guess, as they said, making the dream come true, kind of, where, apparently still cars. Now that I did not know, and maybe because I didn't care enough to know about that, about him being like a delinquent, because it's pretty much what it is. So I mean, if you're gonna steal some cars, maybe he's a little delinquent, and then he was introduced, I believe, by his and then when he comes back, his mom introduces him to Linda McMahon. And we all know what happened with him and Linda McMahon, and that's a whole nother song and dance for a different day. But, his father, which I guess I kind of understand, wanted him to have a better, secure type of, like, career future, and why he did make it, like, listen, because look, all the wrestling we have now. And so realistically, like in that aspect, all his shady underhandings wound up getting this empire where it's like, if you know nothing else, you know WWE. Like anytime I even mentioned wrestling, people assume I was like, me? I wish, but I am not there in WWE. Thank you for the hopes and aspirations, but Katrina is not there. And so usually when you mention wrestling, the first thing people go, oh, WWE, and I'm like, well, not me, but yeah, yeah, that's in there, but not me. And so he obviously did a good job, but he wanted him to have more of a like better, I guess, life outside of wrestling, but he wound up getting into wrestling anyway. And so we know Vince McMahon did interviews, he did ring announcing. I think he thought it was pretty solid. Um, I thought I was like actually I enjoyed his commentary. It wasn't like as like annoying as some other commentators that I've over the years. I'm like, I don't really want to hear you talk. Like his was, I thought he had really solid. Even when he was playing heel commentary, I thought he was great. But it kind of much says like once he started taking control in his Hulk Hogan, and I guess leading into what WWE will become. And so, what were I guess your thoughts about that story, and I guess leading up to the Hulkamania? That is that guy.
I kind of got why he didn't want him to necessarily be in that business essentially like in the beginning, because it just kind of is like a hit or miss a lot of times, like it's either it works out really well or it doesn't a lot of times. And sometimes there's a happy medium, but it's very few and far between. So I get him wanting to have him something like, very more straightforward, just for stability. I was a little shocked about the whole delinquent thing, like him being like, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense when you really think about it, honestly, just because, I mean, I feel like his character was always just kind of him, just a little bit more amped up. So, I mean, it's not too far out of the wheelhouse, I guess, for him. I have to say, I mean, considering the things that he did produce, I'm happy it went that way, that he ended up going into business. And I do agree. I liked his voice for, commentary as well. I really, really did enjoy it. And I think that's what makes him so, at the time, so good at it. It's because he was good at every aspect, and I think that's what makes a great owner is like, I can show you, like, you're not going to every McDonald's. You ain't going to see the owner there frying the fries. Okay. He's not going to show you exactly. So just have someone that kind of can do it as well. And then also producing it, I thought it was cool. So yeah, that was a nice aspect to touch on.
Yeah. I agree, because I'm thinking about that Raggedy Toys restaurant I worked there, and how my manager did nothing but be on his phone all day while I was struggling, and there's a line of people and it's getting crazy, and he's just on his phone, and then had the audacity to ask us what we were doing. However, with that being said, so you're right with regards to having a better instant that makes you more well rounded. So then they start getting into some of the controversies. So one of the first controversies they mentioned is the situation about kayfabe. And now we know how people are. I believe there is a whole thing dedicated to that whole when the guy was like wrestling is real to him. And we all love wrestling, we all get emotionally invested, like I said, I will argue to the end about Roman Reigns. I will argue about his greatness. But so we all get emotionally invested, but there are some of those, even in 2022, who they can tell that this is wrestling. Your life will, I promise you, life will on. Hey, thank you for popping in. Life will go on. Life will be great. Everything will be fine. And the person losing, it'll be fine. They can win the next match. It's fine. But some people don't understand about kayfabe. But anyway, back then specifically, before we have social media and everybody's like, I hate you, hey girl, match me. Or like, oh, this guy's my worst enemy. But then you're sitting there being like, at people's weddings. Before that, back then, like kayfabe, wrestling, especially in the territorial days, apparently was like hard, like extra. They was like shaking and stuff happening back then. And so, I mean, like the kayfabe aspect was like you're supposed to always be in kayfabe. Everywhere you went, kayfabe. I don't like this person, F this, all that stuff. And this leads to the journalist. I'll make sure I get his name right. Hold on, make sure I get the guy's name right. Who kind of was investigating. What is this guy's name? Hold on. Yes. Eddie Mansfield, I believe, who kind of was investigating this whole like it was John Stossel first, and then where it was kind of like the whole investigation to wrestling kayfabe, which wound up going to a whole thing where David Schultz, staying in character, did slap the reporter, and it was a whole thing that he sued, and Mr. Man kind of had to like buy it off or kind of like brush it under the rug with some money, and this is kind of started where he started buying his way out of shenanigans. So they start mentioning also the situation with Jimmy Snuka, who we all felt like he did it. I mean, I felt he did it personally. I'm like, bro, you did it. So you can sit here act like OJ if you want to. You did it. Um, it was that, and then other situations where he did things that wasn't necessarily the best, and there were situations that even I believe with the referee in when it was WWF Rita, who she said that she like pretty much like sexually assaulted her, like coerced her into having sex with him, and you know he said it was defamation and allegations, but I don't know. I feel like I am not one to knock somebody's story like that. I feel like I would rather apologize for being wrong than assume the person's lying. And so, this has started the shenanigans with the money, which will lead to when we get to his end. But where clearly he was known for just spending money, a whole bunch of money to do whatever he needed to be done. And so, yeah, we started into that path of Miss McMahon doing the underhanded stuff. So, what were your thoughts about that part of the documentary?
Okay, well, that reporter was being very verbally aggressive. I didn't like his tone. So I feel like if he was in the right corner, in the right area of the Bronx, the same outcome would have happened because your tone is crazy. His tone was crazy. I'm sorry. Like, it really was. Like, calm down, honestly. But yeah, I mean, for that, honestly, I get it. And I miss when kayfabe was like so like such a big deal, but I mean at the same time I get it. Like the digital era is like it's just no way. It's just no way to like keep that up. But back then, like I really thought that all these people were doing all these things. I thought Kane and the Undertaker were definitely brothers. Like you could not tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me that they was not related. I would argue you down for that. Like no, like I used to be like the Undertaker is a terrible brother. He set his brother on fire and y'all signing with him. This is crazy. Like me, I see. I was like, I was coming from a place of like, logic. I feel like everybody else is bugging. But I mean, digital era definitely is just no way for that to exist. And then also the thing at the salon, the touching, sir, no. Don't do this. Every time I hear, I'm like, why? Why? It's just unnecessary sometimes. I'm like, why? Stop it, please. But that's my thoughts on that.
I definitely was one of those who believed Kane and Undertaker. Like, I remember when they first said that was his brother, and I was like, but how could you do that to your own family? Like, I was hurt because I'm like, well, what did he do to deserve this? Like, what did he do? Why? And so, yeah, when I found out, I was like, wait, they're not. Okay, even when I think they said Christian and Edge's brother. And then I'm like, wait, we did not, bro. I did question a little bit, not gonna lie, because they didn't look alike, and I'm like, well, maybe they got different dads or something. Maybe different moms. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're like something happened. And I did because I'm like they had blonde hair, but their faces was not looking the same. But they did told us that they were brothers, and then all of a sudden, oh, they're best friends. So you couldn't just say that from the very beginning. Why you got me? I'm glad the Hardys was really related, but come on, like there was a lot of shenanigans. We didn't talk about the fact that Kofi Kingston was supposed to be Jamaican. He was supposed to be Jamaican. Okay, on the fact that they try to say Crime Time was from Brooklyn. Excuse me, Crooklyn. They're clever. They said Crooklyn. Okay, and all these shenanigans that they had happening right now. Okay, they did the shenanigans with kayfabe. However, yeah, I feel like I was always kind of logical about it too. I feel like there's people the ones who be like really upset about it and like really pressed. And I'm like, calm down. It's fine. Listen, I did too. I did. I really truly thought his butt was Jamaican. So when I was like, wait a minute, what? He not this whole time? We just lying like that? Just lying at the Caribbean? Just lying? Okay, I mean, I guess. That's what you want to do. But yeah, basically, hey, Mike. I definitely believe. Listen. They were good for lying with us. They lied a few times to us, a few times. Or that time that fake John Cena's that time Randy Orton went to John Cena's house to beat up John Cena's dad, and I was like, that's not really his dad. I was devastated. I was like, you're just going to people's houses,
Yes.
opening the door,
Oh, how
and
about the
just beat
time
him
when
up.
John got stabbed? Do you remember when John got stabbed by Carlito? I'm like, why isn't Carlito in prison? He stabbed him. What the hell's going on? He just shows up on SmackDown like it's just normal behavior. He just stabbed someone. He needs to be in prison. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were young. This is clearly when we were younger. But the point was, I was like, how you beat up somebody's dad in their house? Like, just disrespectful. I mean, like, I'm thinking about if this is a black dad, how would that fall? You come in the house trying to beat them up. Would that work? You know? And so, yeah. Like, that wouldn't work. You couldn't go to some black man's house and be like, excuse me, boom, boom. And then you would probably get beat up. Like, don't do. So, yeah, they was good with kayfabe. So, let's move on to the next part, which talks about the steroids. So the whole thing that you clearly knew, a lot of those wrestlers were clearly on roids. Clearly, Hulk Hogan, he can say what he wants to say. He's on roids. And I like John Cena, but we're not gonna, because Terry likes to lie. Terry likes to get here on Beyonce's internet, okay, and on public TV and lie like he don't understand. Like, bro, you are a racist and you was on the roids. Let's not. And now your hair is receding and everything else. Denial. Um. Anyway, so when the steroids trial, I'm just saying, Terry likes to lie. Terry lies. He was clearly on the roids, as a bunch of other ones, and I'm gonna even say, Justin, bro, you were on the roids. We know, like, it's fine. It's fine. Do you? But definitely were on the roids. They talk about the whole steroid things and the situation where he even, I believe this was the one he came with the neck brace, with the neck brace, to the trial with the neck brace, doing the absolute most. But pretty much they had a doctor who was pretty much giving them steroids, and the doctor did get caught, and then he gave a whole ring of wrestlers he was giving this to, and so he did do the neck brace, which is supposed to be the sympathy, but apparently he was also found not guilty, even though clearly there were people on the roids. So what are your thoughts about that?
I really, for a long time, feel like he had this outrageously, like, Aki brolic guardian angel, because the things that he was able to get out of when there was like so much evidence saying the contrary, and he would be like, well, the law said it. The law said I ain't do it, so leave me alone every time. I was like, yeah, I need your guardian angel. Tell your guardian angel to take a break and get over here.
Right?
He's getting you out. He's getting you out of stuff. Like, damn. Like, that's why I feel like he just had a call.
Guardian angel probably needs some kind of therapy now, because come on, he's Vince McMahon and stuff, and clearly he, for the most part, has gotten away with a lot. He really has, and like, maybe
the guardian angel wants to be taken off the Strong Soldiers list
into my life as well. So let's make some things happen, because hello, I'm sure his guardian angel is probably like mad skinny and depressed with caffeine. I'm sure. I'm positive, because like, no way. How are you just getting away with all? Because come on, clearly those guys are on the roids. Like, come on, when you do this, and it's just pop, 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 pop. Ain't that much working out in the world? We're not gonna lie like that. There's not much working out in the world. And then half of them was always angry and stuff anyway. All this, that's why y'all was fighting on airplanes. Clearly, the roids is getting to you guys. You're fighting on planes and stuff. Okay, so yeah, clearly, yeah. so just saying. So then we move on into the screw job, the Montreal screw job. And I feel like most people, if you know nothing else, you at least know about the situation with Vince McMahon, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart. And so, he bought out Stampede Wrestling, which was owned by the Harts, and it included their rings, but also included getting Bret the Hitman Hart, as well as, because Owen was there as well. But he was then booked as, he had a couple of champions. He had some good matches, but I do think Bret, at risk of people feeling away, I personally thought Shawn Michaels was better. I stand by that. Um, Shawn Michaels is the one that got me into wrestling, so I stand by that. He was my guy. And so eventually, after all of this, and he becomes champion, etc., etc., WCW. Ron. Okay, Ron. First,
I told you he was gonna come in here hating the minute we brought it up. I was like,
I just
it's
gotta wait a minute, let's put this comment of shame. This comment of shame because how dare you, Ron? And we're but you're my fan. You're the homie, but you can't no. Don't do that. We know Sean has done some stuff. He has, but he is the reason I am a wrestling fan. There would not be me here on shows if it wasn't for Sean. Okay, he did his stuff, had his crazy hair and all that hair on his chest. Because I don't really like that normally, but it's fine on him. And here we are. Now you got Katrina fan. Okay, it would have been it would it just that was common shame because no, let's not be rude. But anyway, Brett is contacted by WCW. You know, and Vince McMahon kind of tried to counter the offer, but realized he couldn't really afford him, and so Brett wound up signing with WCW. However, there is still the WWF Championship, and so November 1997, and all these things happened. It was the whole thing where the title was taken off and it goes to Sean, and referee Earl calls for the bell even though Brett didn't tap out, and it was this whole thing which led to the storming backstage and getting McMahon getting punched, and I think Shawn Michaels getting beat up because that's what Brett said happened. And then he said that he didn't screw anybody over, that Brett screwed Brett, the infamous line, and that Brett should have honored tradition and respect when he was with. And in that regard, because I told people this before, while it was a kind of shady way to do it, you're not taking my title to another company and my competition. You can kick all types of rocks with those. I would have done the same thing. And I wouldn't have been so out like extra with it, but I definitely was like, you're not taking this. I wouldn't have done sneaky stuff. I believe in being very transparent. But you're not gonna take my belt to my competition and act like you don't understand why I'm upset. Um, listen, Ron. Like I said, you the fam and all, but you can't be doing these shenanigans on a Friday. I feel like it is Friday. We're in a good spot, and then you come with this negativity, and I don't really like the negativity. I don't really. But anyway, so it was this whole thing, and Bret Hart is quick. He's not so much anymore. He's gotten better, but back then he was quick to be like, WWE and all that. And so here, but even though he seems like he's in a better place now, we all know Brett is good to talk about things he didn't like or things that he felt the way about, which included for years about the Montreal Screwjob. So, what are your thoughts about that?
we all know that Vince was right. Period. Because you know what? Listen, if that's like, an important title and then you win, and then even if you give the title back at the end of the day, it's still like you're still the top guy left at that moment. And then you're going to go to the competition. So our top guy left to go to the competition. So now it's like we just look stupid. Yeah, you can't have it. Sorry, you can't win. No, I don't understand. I feel like that was really logical. I don't feel like they would be unreasonable at all. At all. And I would have just told him, like, I don't know, that I guess they were scared. They didn't want to really say nothing. They was like, hold on, let's just check him because he a little live wire. We know Brett is a live wire. He speaks his piece whenever. He don't care. He don't care what's going on. He don't care who got somewhere to be. He don't care what time nothing starts. He's going to say what he needs to say, and he's going to shake the table. So they didn't want to have those problems, which I get. So they did what they did. Listen, I don't think it was shady. I just think, it made the most sense. Everybody else was making sense but him. But I get it. Men, sometimes it's hard for them. Their pride is a lot for certain people. And it was just like, don't make me look crazy. Don't make me look crazy in front of my friends. That's where he was coming from. I get you, Brett. Don't make me look crazy in front of my friends. But also, I get that this is a business, and I can't have my top guy leave and we look stupid. It looks crazy. No.
What did I say the other day? Don't be better, not bitter, because he definitely was being a bitter Betty. He definitely was being bitter Betty Brett for no reason. I'm like, I understood, like you felt the way, but also, anybody in law school is not letting you leave with championship. Okay, y'all gonna stop these shenanigans. Nobody's doing that. You drop the title, you'll be alright. Okay, you lucky you didn't like. I didn't like have you lose and like he loves you to be like if you come and thinking like you gotta keep the title because it's a thing. Like, man, please, no, absolutely not, absolutely not. But speaking of WCW, which leads us into the Monday Night Wars between WCW and WWF. Now, I know a lot of y'all were some WCW fans, not me. Not me. Whackety whack whack. No, no. Was there some cool things? Of course, yeah, I mean, it's okay, I guess, yeah, sure. But no, I'm not a fan. I did, there's a lot of people, I'm just like, I didn't like Booker T like that. I was just like, oh, I guess. Then it was Goldberg, and y'all know how I feel about Goldberg. That is a whole rant I will not get into today, but y'all know how I feel about that man who cannot wrestle. And so the fact that people, oh my God, they had Goldberg, and if Goldberg can wrestle, so can I. I'm about to go spear some people since he can wrestle. He's a wrestling god, according to these random ridiculous fans. So I just know I hate it. Excuse me, I'm about to see about to go to about to go to the whole thing. I did not like Goldberg. I did not like him, and he was a big part of why I didn't like WCW. So I refused to accept. I refused to watch. I was like, F your views. I'm gonna watch WWF Super. He don't like Goldberg either, I believe. So yes, that's where we agree. Because no, it's Goldberg. Ugh, filth. Okay, like I said, he didn't set his ass to wrestle. People, where? Where was he great? Where was his greatness happening? Were his like 2-minute matches? I guess. I said if he's great, so am I. And I never wrestled a day in my life. So we must be both be great. So I was a WWF girl from the very beginning. I was like fiend. And then we start getting into this better characters because let's not act like Triple H's first character. Like I did like to laugh at the memes because I got some good memes out of those. But let's not act like his character was really that great. That Hunter Hearst, where he was being all uppity and bougie. No. I don't like Triple H as the game either because he was really agitating. He annoyed me a lot during that era because he was messing my face. But that's way more memorable than that other stuff. We don't act like we don't remember how Stone Cold. And I know that Stone Cold was I know this, but when we got Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rattlesnake, Breaking Glass, everybody knows the Breaking Glass, iconic. We got The Rock talking about it doesn't matter, and the candy ass, and Poontang Pie, all these amazing things. We got the greatest TLC, the tag teams with the Hardys and Christian Edge and Dudley. We got all of that during this era of the Monday Night Raws. And while there was times when WCW was surely kicking WWF's ass, unfortunately, Vince McMahon eventually will buy. Why there was stuff with like the network, and I know the whole thing with like Warner, and it was the thing with the network. Also, Vince McMahon did indeed buy them as well, and so ultimately Vince McMahon did win that war and stood on top. So I guess what are your thoughts about that part of the documentary?
I mean, yeah, I kind of started with WCW, not by my choice. Okay, I was just pointed that direction by family members. It just happened that way. But I feel like WWE was definitely my home. It definitely was. Obviously, my favorite wrestler, same as you, Shawn Michaels. You already know. Yeah. Yeah. I just that was a hard time. It's just annoying. I mean, I guess the competition stuff does make like, everyone step up their game, but at the same time, I just don't like seeing the fighting. It's like stop the violence. I don't like it. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. That's about it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but I definitely wasn't a WCW person, so I was like, yes, you guys won. Because screw that. Hey, but we also forgot about DX. Totally forgot about that. We got China. We had DX. It was also during the Attitude Era with all the suckets that all the little boys at the time wanted to do, and I was like, listen, I will flip you. None of that. Don't do that to me. Do that to somebody else. None of that. Okay. But yeah, little boys was like, oh, and like, what are we doing here? Okay, you probably don't even know what to do with it. Relax. Calm that down a bit. Calm it down. So then we move on, and so unfortunately, we get to Brett's brother Owen. And so, there's a lot of things that, he did to kind of keep the Attitude Era on top, which unfortunately included the situation where Owen had to kind of get lowered from tables. And so in that situation, and like I said, I can kind of understand Martha's stance of kind of wanting not to be involved with them because she lost a spouse. She lost the father, and I totally understand. Like, lost the spouse before, so I totally understand. And she ultimately during this situation, Owen Hart falls to his death, and the show still goes on. And so I know there's that debate about, well, why did the show go on? And I remember, I think, posing that question, I believe, when we talked about this episode on Dark Side of the Ring. Well, why did you stay? Personally, I felt I would have been traumatized if I saw somebody die, that I would have gotten up and left. I couldn't have stayed for that. That was it's traumatizing. I couldn't. So while it's like, yeah, we also know how wrestling fans are. I feel like the internet has put us in contact with a lot of ridiculous, delusional fans. I can actually feel that if he did decide to end the show, how people would have felt the way that he ended the show. Because wrestling fans sometimes don't see things as this the right thing probably would be, but my money, I want to see wrestling. Wrestling's real to me, and we know this. We see it now even more so with social media. Social media makes us aware of fans like this. So back then, when everything was very degenerate, like that's what they catered to during that era of wrestling, I felt like while people might have been shocked, the fact that you guys all stayed to watch to me is kind of insane. So you all kind of, yes, they should not have done the stunt. And I stand by that. I think, and I felt like I wish Owen would have really truly listened to the gut. If the gut's saying something feels off, usually there's a reason for that. Listen to it. And I really wish he did, truly, because unfortunately he's no longer here. And I actually thought he was better than Brett. Sorry guys, I did. And so it's really unfortunate. And like I said, I understand his wife's position. I understand why, and I guess he would never be in the Hall of Fame because of this, in WWE's at least Hall of Fame, because he is in one, just not that one. But it's also on the flip side. Like, I feel like Vince McMahon would have heard some nonsense if he would have stopped the show as well. And I felt like, why were you guys still watching? Like, why didn't you guys just go home and something? Like, why didn't you guys be like, I think I can see this? And so, people have, even to this day, when they mention about, oh, remember, as if some of them not even, I was like, if you're younger than me, don't act like you remember. Do you really remember? Was you even born yet? Calm that down. Remember that he did this with Owen Hart and everything. And like I said, I can definitely see he was definitely, I understand. And like I said, I lost a spouse and it sucks. And mine was even in like that kind of a way. And so I totally understand it. But it's also like, I do believe people would have complained. I truly believe if he would have been like, you know what, we have to cancel the show. People complain. You think about even when a concert gets canceled because of like weather, and I'm like, so you would have died? Like, you would have like go to the concert and die? Is what you tell me? Like, you would have like the witness? Oh, it's a hurricane. Why was the show canceled? Maybe because it was a hurricane. Why are we complaining? If they're gonna give you your money back or do a new date, why are we complaining? I would rather be safe than sorry, personally. And so I feel like people would have complained. I truly feel if he said, we have to end the show, we have to try to do something else, they would have been in a situation with that. But I guess, what are your thoughts about them bringing that up? And I guess ultimately, I guess how everything is, even with Owen's wife and family. No, that's not Brett, at least.
I mean, I totally get why, she would feel how she felt. I mean, yeah, that's totally justified. I don't think I'd ever feel, oh my God, why is she upset? I don't think that would come to my mind, because I'm like, I mean, that's something to be very upset about. And then also continue on with the show, obviously kind of made it seem like, well, this person really doesn't matter. Let's just go on like it didn't matter. It's a respect thing, and there was just a lack of respect there. But then also, I do agree with you what you say about, like, there probably would have been somebody like, I drove all this way and I paid all this, you want me to leave? Like, no. Like, honestly, there would have been someone who was just a few someones, actually, because wrestling fans are just they're interesting. I'm interesting too, but like, some are interesting. Some are interesting. It's a different.
Like, no, listen. There are some people I will argue like hard, but I also know that at the end of the day, is Roman, Ojo, gonna be like, Katrina, thank you for what you said online? No, he's not gonna message me personally, be like, girl, thank you for defending me to the end. Okay, Shawn Michaels not gonna be like, Katrina, well, you defended me on some random YouTube stream. They don't care. So I feel like some people who be doing the absolute most is like, calm down. They don't know you. I'm sure they're appreciative of their fans, but they
Right.
don't know you personally. Calm down. It's fine. Don't be weird. Don't be the weirdo. We all know some weirdo fans. We see them enough. We go to like indie shows and like a few creeps in the line. So it's not a song
Yeah.
about the day. But yeah, so then we get to the other things that kind of happened to Miss Men, including I believe there was a situation in Florida at a tanning salon in 2006 where he asked an employee to take a picture of him, but then instead showed pictures of himself and groped the poor employee at uh at the place. And so why the police did not prosecute because there wasn't enough evidence. Obviously, this is going to lead to all the weird stuff we wound up hearing in 2022 about Mr. Man. So clearly, he was doing something because it came right back up about all the things he did to all these people and all the people he paid off and everything else. And then they also go quickly about the Eddie Guerrero situation, um, dying in 2005, and even the fact that how he utilized Randy Orton at that time, kind of like exploited in an extent, obviously, during that time. And then we also they talk about Chris Benoit, and how he died, and there was a whole two-part documentary on him as well, explaining clearly he needed therapy and some grief counseling because but how they did the whole tribute, which I remember very well, actually, the Eddie Guerrero passing away and how everybody clearly was distraught, and then the whole thing to find out, oh no, Chris Benoit did some terrible things. So now we won't mention Chris Benoit at all. And like I tell people, I thought he was probably one of the best submission wrestlers I've ever seen as far as like technical type wrestling. I thought he's one of the best, but he's also terrible person for what he did. And so I can't even acknowledge it's like, oh, but the in ring work. No, but his poor wife and kids didn't get to experience anything. And so no, fuck all that. And so they talk about, and again, it brings back kind of to the whole concussion thing that, oh, he had a concussion and he was doing these weird things because of concussions, and that a lot of the attitude era stuff, which involved chairs and all types of craziness, contributes to, and then the steroids contribute supposedly to Benoit's situation and him doing what he did, and which made him then ban chair shots to the head, amongst other things, as far as other moves that kind of had to get banned over the time because of what it did to the wrestlers. So, what are your thoughts about that stuff?
I mean, I will never disagree with how they went about things in terms of like, okay, well, we're just not going to mention this person because, I mean, yeah, like, what? I mean, I don't understand when people are like, well, you're not going to mention. It's like, yeah, we're not. We're not. Sorry. Like, I totally was on board with that because I felt like what happened. I felt lied to. I was very upset when I had first heard the news. I'm like, no. And then when I heard, I'm like, give me my tears back. Oh my God. I was pissed. Okay. But I mean, it is.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing because you said giving my tears back. Because
I was very upset. And then it wasn't.
No, I was too until I felt like when I forgot where I heard it. I think my mom always told me stuff like I'll come back from school and I'd be like, she's like, oh, this happened. And I was like, what? And then because she always knew how I was as a detective, and so she would like cut out articles to me and be like, so I could read it when I get back. So she told me, and I was like, oh my God. And then to hear that's what it was, and I was just like, so you just couldn't do it to yourself? You had to involve people? You couldn't just be like, I'm sad and let me like, and that's again, I'm not wishing that's not my thing. I don't wish nothing bad on anybody but you just couldn't do to, like, I feel like there's never enough for me to ever understand people take people with them in a situation like that. It's like, can you just do whatever you're going to do if you feel like that's what you have to do? Don't take people with you.
Right.
That's not fair. They didn't deserve that. They had their lives, especially his son, his whole life, and you took that. And so I feel like now it's like, even when I see matches, I'm just like, ugh, disgust. Because that was just a terrible thing to do. And you can say, oh, he didn't know, because I'm like, I'm sorry, if somebody's looking stuff online, sounds like pre-planning me. If I go, oh, let me see how to make a chicken, and I know how to make chicken, but I'm just randomly saying some random, and I go to look it up. Well, that sounds like clearly I'm trying to learn how to do some stuff. So if he's looking up how to do this, and this, then he plans. We're not gonna sit there and lie like that, or the other weird things that happen in that. But I'm not gonna rant about that. But yeah, it's unfortunate because he was a talented wrestler, but I feel like no matter there's nothing that can like that was a terrible thing. Uh, so then the documentary, I guess, finally kind of ends off with his exit. Basically, him leaving WWE, which again none of us thought he was gonna do. I thought he was gonna die behind. Like, not to be. I thought he would never leave. I thought he was gonna be like really old. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I remember that episode of SpongeBob with the chocolate bars, and it was like the granny who was like she was like a fish head, like a she was so old. It was like she was like pretty much like a stick. Um. She was like pretty much like her eyes was sunken and everything. She was like that elderly. I felt like I thought that's what Mr. Man was gonna be. Like he was gonna be so like they had to literally woo you out of WWE. I never expected the day that he was gonna retire, and so it came out that it was some looking into some money that he was paying apparently a lot of female employees over the years, and a lot of money apparently, a lot of money to either do things, keep things quiet, etc., which led him during an investigation with people complaining, and it is a public traded company now. Uh, for him, he decided the best choice was to step down, which again, I was very surprised by. I did not think he would step down at all. I was like, holy crap! And okay, 2022, you just keep surprising me. I was surprised. And then they said that even though the product has been iffy and it has, I can't lie and act like every time I do something, I'm like, yes, this is great. There has been quite a few times I'm like, WWE, what is this? What is this? What are we doing? What is these shenanigans? How did we get here? Why is Goldberg back one more time, wasting my time? I had to throw that in there because fuck him. But why is Goldberg back for the 100th time? Why are we doing this? Okay, why are we wasting time like this? Why are we doing this? Like clearly there was some decisions that I had to question. However, we're not going to lie and say also that this man has not changed wrestling to being what it is today. I think we got all the wrestling we have outside of Japanese wrestling because I don't want to be, oh my god. I like Japanese wrestling before anybody starts. I do like Japanese wrestling. It's actually my favorite wrestling. I do not like go. Listen, I to the end. I'm gonna be old and gray. I'm gonna be still fuck Goldberg. Fuck him, okay? For wasting all my time with his shenanigans about how he's supposed to be a man because he's not do a spear. And okay, I'm sure some random guy knows how to do a spear then. Okay, give me a break. Give me a break. No. And so clearly there's been questionable choices, questionable storylines, questionable decisions, questionable firings. Clearly, but he's still top. The WWE is still top wrestling like sports entertainment. I guess makes that wrestling sports entertainment company. And even with their sometimes they get questionable, they're still making money and are more PG. We're not in the PG era where things are more PG, which led to even some stuff this week actually because people wasn't really being too yeah, well, Goldberg, listen, but I, yeah, now, but he was also fuck him. Okay, just no. So they kind of end like that. He did retire, which we never thought we would see, but also that WWE, even with people complaining about storylines and what they do with some of the wrestlers and some of the other scandals they may have brushed under the rug, because there's quite a few that have came on out now in the last 5 years alone. How they're still on top. So, what are your thoughts, I guess, about that? And then, I guess, overall.
All right. Well, for me, I feel like Vince had like some divine purpose. Like, I feel like when someone has that much dirt on them and just goes untouched for as long as he did, that's divine purpose. This man there was something he needed to do. And it's something the universe felt like he needed to do, which was get WWE to where it is. And they was like, then we're going to see you. We're going to see you about, you know what? We're going to see you about it. But for now, we're going to let you rock. The universe is like, we're going to let you rock because this is divine purpose. You need to do this. And then once he was done, he passed it off. Now, Triple H, and I'm going to get into you because you definitely got divine purpose as well. That man has divine purpose all around him. The way shit be moving for him. Yeah. But I mean, I basically like it sucks that these were the circumstances for him to step down because the same. I never thought we would ever see the day. I was shocked. It was silent in my home that day when I found out this news. I said this has to be a fever dream. There's just no way. There's just no way this man did it. I just didn't think it would happen because I really thought he was gonna be right there at the ramp talking about he's selling chocolates. Like, yeah.
She was the old. Like she was an old. Like she's there in the grave, but she still wanted her. Yes, I thought that was gonna be Vince McMahon. Even my mom, who hasn't kept up with wrestling in like years, she was like, "Did you have like yeah? Well, of course I know, because I watch wrestling." So yeah, well, yeah. It caught. I mean, it caught up to him. It did. I like I said, because he got away with he. Hey hey. He definitely got away with a lot. He got away with a lot. He really did. I just he like I said, you're gonna tell me he didn't know, but I believe Jimmy killed her. I stand by that, and I knew he knew. He knew. He did whatever he did, and did his magic, and it was all gone. He knew. I that nonsense story Jimmy told, pure nonsense. I was like anybody. I was like I watch enough true crime, okay, to know this don't sound right. This don't even sound logical. What are you talking about, bro? You can't get your own story right. Pure shenanigans. How are you story messing up in like the first 12 hours of the story? You don't remember what you said? No, I'm automatically side eye. You did something. You did something, and so I believe he did it. Just like all the other things he kind of swept under the rug for his people, whatever the case may be, and all the other questionable choices. And so I think, yeah, he didn't get anything. He didn't get any charges or anything, but everybody's like, I don't know, Vince. We probably shouldn't see you. And so while there is the rumor that he supposedly was to come back, which I don't think he actually, I feel like him, I mean, not necessarily, because I feel like he might have kind of said it in a way if you think about all the other things that Rich have said over the years. Like he might have said it, but also he's actually been pretty quiet, and I feel like maybe just bro, just enjoy the rest of your life, and let your daughter do her thing and whatever the hell Shane is doing, and Triple H, do his stuff and maybe not do his shenanigans like he's been doing, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but I mean, I thought they were gonna give some like real dirt. Hey, hold on, let me just pop that up there. Thank you for popping in. Hey. And he also gave a really awesome
Thank
comment.
you.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna dig a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like a lot of the stuff we already knew. And then the only thing I don't recall was the tanning thing. I don't think I knew that. And so I was like, oh, and the fact that he was like stealing cars. I didn't know that. But it was like all this other stuff we kind of knew. I was hoping like if you're gonna get the 9 lives of Vince McMahon, you're gonna tell some dirt. Like I'm like, oh, so I can go like mom. That Kermit the Frog meme where he just typing. So I can tell my mom that something like, mom, check this, like watch this, like look at these shenanigans, and we didn't get that, and I was kind of disappointed because especially it was like a 2-hour documentary. So I'm like, all right, show me something, and then it was just like, oh okay, well, I mean it's fine, but it wasn't like I thought they were gonna do. I thought this is PG version of the documentary. I feel like that PG WWE, that PG version of when you're talking about Vince McMahon, a lot of it was already known. And so I was like, okay, so it wasn't terrible, but I kind of wished we would have gotten some more dirt. And maybe me being nosy and stuff, maybe so, maybe I just was like, oh okay, but I'm like, we all know this stuff already, like for years. Give me something I'm not aware of, so I can be like, oh, okay, Vincent, with your shenanigans. You're not gonna always go to the government name when you do shenanigans, and so let Triple H and Paul not have me have to send a letter because I will. And hopefully, they continue in WWE still thrive. I do think it's still better. And again, I know I'm gonna catch some slack from the fans of AEW, but the one thing Vince did not do, which I've said all the time, was outside of his random posts on people's birthdays, like the really bland one he gave Shane McMahon every year, because it was always bland. He was always like, what is this for your son? You got John Cena got this all sweet, thoughtful, and then you get Shane's, and it's just like, well, happy birthday. Like you do a coworker that you don't really like. Oh yeah, happy birthday, and that's it. But then, so outside of those, Vince McMahon ass was never on Twitter. Somebody needs to take heed to that. I'm just saying, somebody needs to take heed and do the same. And maybe he'll be better in 2023. Maybe he'll surprise me, and I can be like, okay, you know what? Okay, I guess you got a little better. But yeah, I just thought they would have gotten more. But here we are. But it wasn't bad. I wish they would have got more. Yeah, well, we also know about some of those hires as well. Some of those hires was clearly because they were pretty. And again, this is not to downplay anybody who used prettiness. Do use Sif. Get what you can get with your looks. I am not saying that. What I am saying is be also very well aware that a lot of them cannot wrestle. Okay? I'm about to think about how my rant about Tori Hosey used. I mean, that's a whole like how. So there's
We
something
don't have
else.
enough time for that.
I just the whole rant about I wrote a whole rant yesterday about that because come on, just some people couldn't wrestle that well. There's clearly there to be the prettiness, and that's fine. But clearly that's what Mr. Man was being a creep. And so here we are. But it was okay. I just wish they would have gave some more stuff that we wasn't aware of because I'm like, if you do a documentary, let me be surprised. I won't be like, oh, I found this out like 10 years ago. Like, all right, I know this. Who didn't know about the steroid trial? I feel like if you know nothing else about Mr. Man, Jimmy and the steroids. Those are the two things you definitely know about Vince McMahon's shenanigans. And so they busted, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Got with documentary was pretty cool. It was fun as always. Popping with my girly Shay. But you guys, excuse me, you tell everybody what you got going on and where they can find you.
All right. Well, this coming Monday, I have a new episode of The Big Pop Theory that will be posted. And then Tuesday, I have the NXT review on Unpopular Review. That's directly after. That's the live first thought, review. And then Thursday is when my thoughts are all juiced and they've like sat in the stew. And then I do it for Women's Wrestling Time. The review as well for Thursday. And then Wednesday is a challenge review where I talk a lot of crap and I love it. Team Amber. Also, they're talking about Vince and like, oh, he might be coming back. If you don't think this man don't be texting Mr. Triple H, I just know he gets random texts when he's out living his life like, hey man, I don't know if it's gonna work with that one. You know who I'm talking about. I know he get a text or two. No, you're not going to tell me that he doesn't at least once they at the dinner table. You know he's making eye contact. I'm not trying to hear it. He ain't all the way gone. I'm not trying to hear. No. Mm-mm.
I'm gonna have to agree. There's no way he knows nothing. One is your daughter, and the other one is your son-in-law. Okay, you cheat more like a son than Shane. I feel like Shane is they do Shane dirty. Shane gets done dirty sometimes. I just feel like I'm like, there's no love to Shane, huh? It's like that unchild you really didn't want to. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying he really feel that way. That's the vibes I get. But yeah, I just listen. There was an article saying Triple H supposedly wasn't happy about some of his rehires. I'm like, well, wouldn't that say that Vince McMahon was right? If this is true, that means he might have been right about some of this. And now here we are trying to be acting like now Vince McMahon was crazy for some of the people he released. I mean, some of them are questionable, but some of them I'm like, no, I don't really know, not really. Don't anybody lose their job, but let's not lie either. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Vince should be back, but I don't think he's completely oblivious either. I just find that very hard to believe. I feel like for somebody to be that anal about controlling things to the point where he's in the booth, even to the point where you're telling Michael Cole what to say on commentary, there's no way he just stepped away with that cold turkey. I do not buy that. I feel like he knows something. He might not have any actual say so anymore, but I definitely think he knows what's happening. I just find it's somebody like that type kind of personality that wants that much control, just leave willy nilly. No, I don't know. I feel like he knows at least something that's happening. But yeah. As for me, I totally sucked on my channel. This totally sucked because it's been busy. But I plan on having again the LA edition of the the Comic Con panel that originally was at New York Comic Con. From the LA edition will be up on my YouTube by the end of the weekend, I promise. And I plan on posting some more of my reviews. I have quite a few reviews I recorded over the last few months and have not posted them. They will be posted. And then I'm going to kind of rebrand into 2023 because that's almost here. And so that should be cool. You can also find me on Mondays, Women's Wrestling Talk at 7, talking about Wild Wrestling. And then also with Shay on Thursdays, talking about NXT. Super awesome. You can find me on NCAT We Trust everywhere except if you're looking for the E. There's a 3 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram because shenanigans. But thank you guys so much. It's been super awesome hanging out with you guys. You guys are super awesome in the comments. We always appreciate you. We're trying to do more of us solo stuff. It's been a little quiet on Vice TV with wrestling. So it's like, I don't know. But maybe we did something else. Because we talked about Euphoria before, which is pretty funny. That was a great episode. So maybe we can find something else and we can pop up back in here to have something solo for you guys. But as always, we love you guys and thank you so much. And if you guys are on other shows with us until Christmas, happy holidays, all that stuff. Be careful, be safe. Bye.